Hello, Elouise. Very warm welcome here. It's a pleasure to have you at Mercasphere. It was already a very exciting morning with you, hearing everything about the future of procurement. But let's sit a bit back and zoom out maybe and discuss a few other topics.
Well, first off, thank you for having me here. I've enjoyed being here, and yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, how did you first come into procurement and how did procurement look back then?
Well, I'm old, and so I came into procurement. Many people in my generation ended up in procurement. We didn't set out to do it, and I was a technology person. And I ended up going to a startup, a reverse auction startup called Abbreviate, that was started by Kearney people and then eventually got acquired by Kearney. And so I came in that I fell into procurement that way. And then I worked my way up into becoming a consultant and I've been with the firm almost 26 years now. So.
Very exciting story, like from startup, the entrepreneurial spirit to partner at Kearney. But I bet like the way procurement worked was extremely different
Oh my God.
back then.
I mean, so I came into procurement in 2000, and that was just after like sourcing, like strategic sourcing what really came of age in the 90s. But you'd have a team of 25 people working mostly in maybe Excel, but paper, like filling out paper surveys. And that was in the 90s to be clear. But they'd have all those people to source office supplies. Like, we don't even source office supplies anymore, but you'd have 25 people, like, from Kearney. So that's just how far it's come, and so when I got in, when I came to Abbreviate, the first thing we were trying to do is make all that stuff electronic RFPs and then reverse auctions, and so I was right there at that moment of moving from paper and the old way and the big teams into the digitization of it. And it took a while. And then, as I talked earlier, it went from point solutions that were just fragmented, then they consolidated and all the acquisitions happened. And then, which was the second generation. And then the third generation was the explosion of startups. And now we find ourselves on the precipice of the fourth generation. So, I mean, I have seen it all, and I love it, and
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. Maybe let's dig a bit deeper here because, like, on one side, I mean, we are seeing an amazing amount of technology solutions which have been popping up over the last 15 years. And on the other side, I mean, that might be just my frustration as a technology entrepreneur. I still feel like we are there, what you just mentioned 20 years ago. I still feel like that many things are done in Excel and I still feel like that people have the frustration with the same suite providers like 20 years ago.
yeah.
So they still have like, I don't know, 80% market share, those providers.
Well, the old providers, especially the big suites, I don't have to name them necessarily, but you know who you are. They will work on inertia and fear, and so a lot of them have CIO relationships or CEO, depending. So it perpetuates the same old technology, but those technologies never solve the problem. So
Mm.
if you're going to be forced to use a legacy suite provider, you're better off just using Excel. But that world has to change. That's
And then, like, the next era was then the let's say best of breed
yeah,
era, and I think you was a big ambassador of that, and I myself too. The first company I built was a Scout beer.
yeah.
We were right in that kind of movement of best of breed. But uh, why do you think now reflecting best of breed was not the solution or is not the solution?
Well, I always said that, to be fair to myself, I always said we needed a platform. The platform was the center of the spider chart. Nobody built it during the 3.0 generation. Now people are starting to build it, but the way you build it in an AI world, now we have AI, the way you build that platform, you don't need all the individual point
Good.
solutions, and that's kind of what agentic has really disrupted is I don't need Scalpy. I don't need X provider or Y provider. I just
So
need
basically, what you're saying, a lot of the on-point solutions in the best-of-breed era are being redundant now,
yeah.
given the arrival of agents.
Yes, and, the problem is they're financially underwater because they've taken vast amounts of capital when capital was cheap, and their revenues did not grow fast enough, and now they'll never be able to get that return on that initial capital. Because how many of those folks on the spider map took Series A, Series B, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 million, and they don't have revenues anywhere near that.
But would that be something CPOs will be concerned with, whether the equity is under the water or
They should be. I mean, that's a basic risk measurement, a financial risk,
yeah.
sort of. But that's why we have to move to the platform, and that's
And then,
yeah,
I mean, I completely embody that vision with the platform because that's what we are aiming as Mercanis to be one of those few 4.0 platforms. But I mean, what I get sometimes in recent weeks speaking with CPOs, they will say, well, in a way, 20 years ago, that vision was pitched to me by someone else. So
yeah.
how do you counter that kind of frustration?
Well, we have to acknowledge that people I mean, I wrote a whole book on the failure of the big suites to deliver. And it's not just the tech providers. You had the systems integrators, you had the business consultants that built all these business cases, including Kearney. I took Kearney to task for this too. We wrote bad business cases, and the analysts are just getting paid by the tech vendors and everybody else. So nobody's actually trying to solve the problem. Everybody's trying to perpetuate the status quo. The systems integrators try to get the CPO to buy the big suite and the analysts and everybody. But if you stop and just say, wait a minute, that's not working. So we have to acknowledge that it's not working. And then we have to say, look, we'll prove it's on us, sort of me as a newer analyst influencer and you as a building a platform. We have to prove it. And we have to prove it before we just go in
Yeah.
and sell that.
So walking the talk at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
So basically the promise which has not been kept for 20, 30 years, now I show you with the arrival of new technologies, that's now your platform which you wished for 20 years ago,
Right.
basically. Yeah.
Exactly. And but again, we shouldn't be nobody should take my word for it. Nobody should take your word for it. We shouldn't when I because I work with people and try and get into people to move forward, I I want to prove that I can teach anybody to build an agent or to adopt technology, just like you are building a platform that that solves the promises or delivers the promises from 20 years ago. But we have to be able to do it in a way that makes it real.
I mean, I think people is a good point here because I think technology can only get you so far, and I mean if Excel in 2026 is still one of the most used tools in procurement, which was I think Excel was first launched in '89, if you imagine, then basically add the people to a certain degree, also the factor that certain technologies have not been adopted over the years, or how do you see that topic?
Yeah, so it's multifaceted. So on one hand, yes, the people have not adapted, but to be fair, this is where IT organizations and quote unquote digital organizations have failed because they've been busy putting in big providers, whether it's Microsoft, Salesforce, Workday, SAP, Oracle, and they sort of like, okay, we did it. We did it. It's one size fits all big platform, and that's not the world we live in. And so we need to move the IT organizations or fire them all and move them forward to get some of these better tools in. In parallel, at the same time, we need to bring the people along and prove to them, just like we proved to the CPOs, that this is not, whatever 2.0. This is like we are really moving the needle.
Yeah, because I think over the last decades, we've also lost trust in the people because at home they play on their smartphones or like tablets, and then you see all the modern software, how technology is evolving. You go back to your workplace and procurement, and then you're stuck in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. And what does that say? That communicates that you are not valued as an employee. So why should you be motivated? But also the other thing is we talk about sort of generations. I
That I mean that's a super interesting thought, the value of a human, because that means also, I mean, you stay only attractive as an organization with the right technology,
Yeah,
because then people will leave otherwise.
correct. Because let's say you're 30 years old right now. Do you want to work at a company that's going to make you use SAP or Oracle for the next 5, 10 years? Because if you go down that path, your skills are going to atrophy. And so when you try to find another job, the other candidates that are building AI agents every day are going to have a much better story than you that says,
Yeah.
well, I used Excel and SAP.
Yeah, in a way, it goes also, are you still employable with
Right.
that kind of
Exactly.
track record and such tools?
But I would also, and you made the point, I want to highlight the point you made is in our personal lives, many of us are using AI in ways that the corporations don't understand or would not allow for the work. And oftentimes, the junior folks are actually using this technology, and the senior folks don't understand the technology, so they don't even know what's going on with the junior folks. That's like a big
Because
mismatch.
the generational shift,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Well, like the older generation just says, "Well, we have a policy, don't do this."
Mm.
And the younger generation may not understand or absorb whatever that policy is, so they're off doing, throwing stuff into ChatGPT and being very productive. But the leaders, the old people, they don't think to check it. Because and so I give you the example, Deloitte has been there's 2 public things where they've been, 2 government, one in Canada and one in Australia, where they got called out because they delivered AI reports that AI had generated, and nobody at Deloitte actually
Actually,
checked them.
yeah.
And so it's
Well,
an embarrassment, but that's a failure of the leaders because what are they doing? They let their juniors do the work, and it's not ChatGPT's fault. It's not the junior people's fault. It's the senior and the oversight.
mm. Yeah, very interesting. I mean, like, imagine I will be a CPO in 2026 now. I mean, what would you advise me? Because I think it goes in all directions, the technology stack, but that's also heavily influencing the talent I can attract.
Right.
And then, I mean, I don't want to maybe admit for my career's sake that, well, the suite or the best of breed I've introduced 5 or 10 or whatever years ago is not the right solution for the next decade. Yeah. So, what would you advise to CPOs today?
Well, I mean, when we go to DPW, one of the things that always I find interesting is the number of CPOs that attend. And what are they doing? They're the ones that are going to build the people that join them are going to build their careers. And so you see many of the CPOs, but the people that are on stage are the people that work for those CPOs. So you think about Sam from Mars or Adam from Maersk or Vanya from Coke or CCEP, get Nitin from GSK. All of those, their bosses, the CPOs, are also at those conferences, and so they're creating that umbrella of, like, "If you're gonna work for me, we're gonna do cool and exciting things." Go to any other conference, you don't see that connection, that it's not clear that you have these leaders in technology adoption and pushing the boundaries.
So it starts from the top, how I can kind of empower and enable my people
Right.
to then choose the right software.
Because if the CPOs aren't at, let's just say DPW, or they're not, at conferences like this, how do they even know what's happening? They don't, and so I'm always pushing CPOs to go to DPW because I want them to walk the floor and the expo hall and see all of the innovation.
And I think another topic along those lines, an interesting debate I came across is like, can I enter the next decade of AI or like that platform era with like a legacy suite provider, which I've been like integrated and adopted maybe to a certain degree, made it work in my organization, plus an AI layer on top. I mean, there are certain AI layer companies growing extremely fast. If you follow the social media, growing extremely fast. So, I mean, if I've given two choices, do I rip and replace for a true platform 4.0, or on the other side, I have the choice to put like a AI layer on top, like one of those solutions. Like, how do you see that debate?
Well, I'd start by answering that question. If you're a CPO, why would you wanna go do another Ariba implementation or a Coupa implementation? Like, that's
Yeah, but if it's implemented already, it
yeah, it was
was implemented
implemented already.
ago.
But yeah, okay, so let's just do the scenario. If you're going to a new job and it's already there, fine. But if you have the choice, do you really wanna go somewhere that they're gonna force you to I mean, that has to be day one. And the reason I bring that up is because there's been a number of separations, like big enterprises spinning off part of the enterprise. And typically what happens is they take the Ariba and they do it net new or the Akupa, but they have a moment in time to change and they don't choose to change, which is crazy. Now, to your question, if you have a legacy provider sitting there, yeah, you could put an AI platform on top, and that's okay.
And no one needs to admit failure
Right,
because you
exactly.
can just put lipstick on the pig, everything
And
gets perfect.
that's what it is. But and that CPO will be fine because they'll be there 3 years, 5 years, and then they'll move on. But if you really wanna stay, you need to make that leap or build the pathway to the 4.0 platform because to use your words, putting lipstick on the pig, just putting some AI platform on top, that's fine for the short term, but you're not I use that statistic that OpenAI's finance department's 18% the size of comparable, other companies. Like, you're not the pig with lipstick is always going to take 100 people, whereas this using these 4.0 generation might be 25 people or and do much more. And that's the watch out. It's tempting to put the pig with lipstick on top, but
Mhm.
it's
That is not the long-term solution.
no, and you can do that now, but you gotta really get ahead of this.
And like talking about watch out, I mean, if we sit here again, like in a year's time, how do you envision technology has evolved by then, or what you wish for?
Well, I think the and we're seeing a lot of hype, so you gotta separate the hype. The main thing I think we will see is the AI platforms like OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini flexing into the cloud space and sort of displacing the traditional cloud, you know, both Google and Microsoft have cloud, so but it's sort of less on compute and memory and more on AI and which I know is compute and memory too, but I think we're gonna see more of that, and then I also think we're gonna see more AI employees coming from the bigger AI companies, and Like, because imagine if you're in the chemicals business and you can hire an AI employee with the PhD level uh, smarts, that's just an AI agent or an AI employee. Why wouldn't you do that? I think a year from now, I think that's what I would expect to see, or at least the beginnings of it.
Yeah, I think like we are moving there very quickly because I mean, if you think about a year ago, I mean, we didn't talk about multi-agent systems,
No.
and I think we are now not far away, like really having multi-agent systems deployed at major procurement organizations, and so I think your kind of vision is not unrealistic. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it has to be framed in a platform because otherwise, again, if you're just putting some AI layer on top of your existing system, you're not really getting the benefits of that multi-agent architecture or just the broader AI platform.
Mm.
And that's why I firmly believe that the 4.0 platforms, that's where we have to get to, even if you're gonna use the pig in the lipstick.
I mean, those are great closing words. So, Eloise, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for that very exciting conversation. And yeah, truly looking forward when we meet again in the year here at Mercosphere 2027 to see what has come through and what 2026 brought us.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed being here, and these are the types of events I love doing. So, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.